it's difficult. Like some things that I want to do are very difficult because also I'm not a journalist and people don't understand what a contemporary artist wants to do into certain zones. They really don't get it.
Especially in a place like Iraq, like when people are barely thinking about their daily maneuvers and what they do or what they eat and where they eat, how can they understand contemporary art more?
They don't.
They don't.
They don't. Most of the people believe an artist is a painter anyway and someone not useful for the society. And
so what makes you have the resilience to stay here even though your work is not understood by majority?
But I'm not exhibiting here.
Oh, okay.
I never, once 1 year ago, I showed some of my video works in Abu Nawas in the French Institute, in Institut Français. And the reaction of people was extremely bad.
What was the work?
Yeah. They hated my work and they spoke about it openly, saying that my work was shit.
What was it? Like, what did you do?
I showed them my work with uni. I showed them a work which I did in Boursipa with AI, speaking about Babel and about the fact that building the Tower of Babel is the same thing as transhumanism and AI. And that humanity is always building some crazy towers that we want to be the equal of God, and it always fails. But they didn't get any kind of concept. They got very bored. It was, you have to take the shock, but they really didn't like my work, and that's okay with me. But the reactions were really bad. Like, they openly took the mic and said that they hated it. They thought that they came to see documentaries.
Oh my God.
Because there is, it's not because I love Iraqi, I always say that I love Iraq like I would love a woman, but sometimes you're like, you love people, but
they don't love you back.
You think they're not. First they don't love you back, and also sometimes it's not because you love someone that you approve what he does all the time. For example, I think the attention span of Iraqi is extremely small and even smaller than any European that I know. So, I mean, for sure, if you just train your brain on TikTok and just rot, if you brain rot yourself into social media like Iraqi do, for sure, to look at the most contemplative drone shot, which is 12 minutes of the same thing, which I offer you this for you to just delve into contemplation and to try to, in that contemplation, to try to give you a spiritual space. It doesn't work in Iraq. But the most brilliant people that I know have very short attention span in Iraq, because they train their brain on social media. So, for example, one of my favorite cineasts is a Russian cineast. His name is Andrei Tarkovsky. Most of these films are 3 hours 30s, 3 hours, and they are extremely contemplative and spiritual. They are prayers. I think that people cannot tolerate. Even for me, it's difficult to connect to Tarkovsky. And, I wouldn't look at it late at night. I looked at some of his films 10 times, and, it's a different vision that you have on the film every time you see it. But if you cannot accept silence, if you cannot accept solitude, if you cannot accept to connect to an art piece, it cannot work. I was not stunned, the reaction was very bad. I don't care, I'm just trying to give a very good vision through social media about Iraq, taking good photos. I spend my life to make little series, from the good coffees of Yarmouk to Souk Mridi. I've been visiting everywhere in this country. I'm trying to show that every community, everything deserves to be loved. But the work that I'm producing here, they're really not for an Iraqi audience. They don't accept it. Honestly, they don't accept it.
It's very, very true. Like what you said about the attention span is very, very true and very dangerous for Iraqis. I don't think they understand the like when you say they criticized it, they didn't even just look at it and just get bored. They actually criticized it. It really shows how Iraqis think.
I understand that it's a bit difficult,
to do that.
For example, a lot of things in the country make me amazed. This country has huge electrical problems. Don't ask me to go into details. This is none of my business, and I'm a guest here, so that's your country, and I don't know why. Let's say that I don't know why. But what I see is like when the airport is reopening a visa counter, or when a new restaurant's open in Canada, they just put one light bulb every 10 centimeters, which is like there is a level of light which is so high that my eyes suffer in Iraq. My eyes suffer. And then suddenly the electricity cut, and you're like, okay, so that's much better. And then it comes back again, and you're like,
Wow.
and then by talking with people, I was like, what is your problem with light? What is your problem with light? I mean, you already have a lot of light from the sun, from the reflection of the sun into
I don't think
concrete.
they understand that. It's just like, it's really ugly how they use lights.
Yeah, but the old generation and the older people of my age, they all told me, Louis, we were suffering in the 90s. We did not have light. We just had one bubble per house. We spent our lives into places that were barely lit. We couldn't see, we couldn't read, and we had nothing. And so today that we can just build something, and okay, we have electricity, and okay, we're like children, like I see that with a deep emotion. It's sad actually that this use of light is someone that you've been deprived of things for many people who've been living the economic sanctions of the 90s.
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy.
People
I know.
have been suffering a lot. Like I hear a lot of stories that people would get married, and if they would get a cake, they would hide to eat the cake, because how did you get a cake?
Yeah,
How did you get a cake for your wedding? That's
Yeah, I know. So it really comes from deprivation. It really reflects.
So I'm not here to judge or to think. Sometimes people don't understand my project. It's sad, but they don't understand my project because there is a lack of education. And so, for example, in some project, like people just mind business that they shouldn't. But other, sometime I had really good surprise. Sometime I was arrested in a checkpoint in Tigris years ago.
Why?
And I did not understand why. And so I had to wait for 10 or 15 minutes, and a very handsome gentleman with a very nice mustache, a white shirt, a black tie, a beige suit. He arrived and he knocked on the Dodge Charger that we were sharing with a friend. And he was, so you're Louis, huh? I'm saying, yes. He was like, yeah, I knew you would be in Tikrit today, and I asked the checkpoint to stop you. I'm Mukhabarat of Iraq, and I want to thank you very deeply for what you did, for the stories you did in Karbala.
Wow, that's so nice.
You've been showing. I was super afraid of why do they want to talk to me? What did I do?
Yeah.
No, I was just arrested by people who were thanking me for showing how organized and beautiful and generous the people can be during Arba'in, because I was in 2021 during Arba'in in the middle of COVID, and there was no Christian, not much foreigners on that year. So for sure, people would just look at me with more, attention.
That's very beautiful.
And